Hello everyone, this is Mom Mars, and from what Sir Pot has mentioned in the previous video, I will be sharing with you how work and energy are related to each other. Well, the explanations that we have in physics often involve the use of equations in representing relationships. So instead of putting it into words, we use formula or equations. So in here, we are going to do just that. So first, we recall the key formula such as this one. Work is equal to the dot product of force and displacement. Generally, in words, this is just the work being a product of the force and displacement. So in symbols, this is the definition of the work done. Also, another key equation that we need to remember is that of the second law of motion, or the law of acceleration, which is force is the product of mass and the acceleration of the object. F is equal to ma. So, dalawang formula previously, definition of work, and then we have the second law of motion. Then, way back in our kinematic equations, although we did not focus much on this formula is reflected in the table of formula on projectile motion. You will see that in the equations. So, yeah, among the kinematic equations, we have this formula. Okay, don't worry, hindi nyo na kailangang i-derive kung paano nakarating dyan. Anyway, that's just another formula that we need to remember. And by this, we have to rewrite it first in terms of the acceleration. So, rewriting it in terms of acceleration, so we divide both sides by 2D. Ayan, from this one, we divide both sides by 2D. We have this equation. So, tatlo na lahat. One is the formula for representing the definition of work. Yung pangalawa is the formula from the second law of motion. And then itong pangatlo is the rewritten kinematic equation in terms of acceleration. So, itong nasa left side natin na formula, F is equal to ma, is from the second law of motion, law of acceleration. The one on the right, this is the equation from kinematics. Okay? Which is written in terms of the acceleration. Kung papansin nyo, we have common variables. We have an a here, and we also have an a here. So therefore, we can substitute the equation for a in the formula on the left, right? Ilalagay natin yung, since a is equal to the quantity, vf squared minus vi squared, divided by 2d, we can substitute this into this one. So, we have this. So, instead of the variable a or the acceleration, we represented it into another form, which is this one, in the parenthesis, enclosed in the parenthesis. So, this is the new form for the second law of motion. Ito na yung bagong itsura. Next, okay. So, yung nasa right side natin, ito, this is from the second law of motion combined with the kinematic equation representation, new representation for acceleration, right? Sa kabila, ito yung definition natin for work. Work done is the product of force and displacement. So, again, similar dun sa ginawa natin kanina, may common variables tayo, which is the force. If you answer the force, then you are correct. So, may force dito sa kabilang equation, meron din dito sa kabila. And we know from the right side, or from the equation on the right, that the force is equal to the mass multiplied by the quantity enclosed in the parenthesis. So, in that case, we can change this variable here, the force, into just this quantity. It may seem a lot, but yeah, I hope you get it. So we combine these two. So the work is now rewritten in this form, right? F dot D. So alin yung F dyan, ma'am? Etong M multiplied by the quantity Vf squared minus Vi squared divided by 2D, yan na yung bagong F natin. And we do not forget, of course, the multiplier of displacement kasi work is equal to the force times displacement. So basically, ang ginagawa lang natin dito ay nire-rewrite yung equation to establish a relationship with work and energy. So currently, ang nakikita pa lang natin sa screens natin ay yung work pa lang. So saan papasok yung energy? Alright? So we're going to proceed. Since we have a product of this quantity and the displacement, we can cancel the D. So if we simplify that, you have this one. Work is equal to the 1/2 m multiplied by the quantity of Vf squared minus Vi squared. Does this seem familiar? 1/2 mv squared? If you have already watched the previous video explained or narrated by Sir Pot, 1/2 mv squared is actually the formula for solving kinetic energy. So therefore, we can rewrite this equation, 1/2 mvf squared and 1/2 vi squared. So the vf just means the final velocity, while the vi just means the initial velocity. So if 1/2 mv squared implies or solves for kinetic energy, we can identify two types of kinetic energy. Diba? Kung ang velocities natin dito sa formula may final and initial, syempre si kinetic energy meron din. So, we can write it as, so since nauna dito yung final minus initial, so ang mangyayari, final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy, which is just the change in kinetic energy. So therefore, work done is also the same as or is equivalent to the change in kinetic energy. So this is now known to us as the work energy theorem. In this one formula, you can see work on one side and kinetic or energy on the other side. Okay, so this is the work energy theorem, and the process that I presented to you is how we derive this theorem or how we come up with this theorem that indeed the total work done is equal to a change in kinetic energy. Kasi diba, kung maalala natin, kinetic energy is the type of energy which involves moving objects. And we know that when an object is in motion, there is work done on the object.